Brilliant. Okay. Well, look, it's I think it's just 7 o'clock. So again, hello and good evening. And my name is Julie Duggan, and I'm delighted to be here this evening to deliver this first webinar for the Food for Thought project for the ABC Council area. I'm going to share my screen with you all. For anybody who has just joined and missed the first wee minute there, it's just to say this webinar is being recorded. So if you want to keep your depending on the haircuts or lack of, look at mine. If you
lack of, that's why mine's dark.
You can keep your camera on or your camera off, whatever you want. And as we go along, if you've got any questions at all, use the Q&A function box at the bottom. So I'm going to share my screen now. This evening, I just want to kind of fill you in on what the Food for Thought programme is about really and what you can expect from it. So I'm going to brilliant. Yeah, so the Food for Thought programme, and congratulations everybody who was successful and got some packs, because there were 200 packs that were fully subscribed in the space of about 2 hours, which was amazing. And then the council had come back to us to get some more packs so they could meet the demand for, and people who were in the waiting list and stuff. So, and then between Brexit and COVID, it was quite difficult to get all the seeds and stuff. But thanks to the brilliant guys and the conservation volunteers, we got everything gathered up eventually, and that was all delivered to yourselves. So excuse me. So Food for Thought is a grow your own and cook your own project, and the original Food for Thought project was delivered between last June and December and was a great success. And so people all over Northern Ireland began to grow some food in pots, on windowsills, in their backyards and gardens, and they grew with their children, with grannies, with carers, with neighbours, community groups, and also on their own, just as a way to get outside and learn a new skill and brighten up the day. And so at the end of that project, and during that project, we give out 550 kits all over Northern Ireland. So an external evaluation of the project was carried out and the participants were surveyed. And this is what they said, which was really encouraging. So they said that it had a very positive effect on their mental health, that it encouraged children to eat more healthily, 95% said that. And it had a really positive effect on alleviating feelings of loneliness or isolation. And we all know the last year that it has been tough, and it's been really tough on everybody. So if an excuse were needed at all to get out and do something a little bit different and grow something, whether it's few scallions or carrots or herbs, I think that's a good thing. 97% said it had a really positive impact in general on their family or group, and people also said it increased the amount of fruit and veg in their diet, which is brilliant. And I don't know about the rest of you, but if depending on what you're doing, or you're sitting at home, we're all Zooming and Teams and all the rest of it, it's really easy to reach for the biscuits all the time. So more fruit and veg would be a good thing. People also said that it encouraged children and indeed themselves to spend more time outdoors, and increased interaction between groups of generations. So young people and older people and everybody got a chance to get out and develop new skills as well. And we were quite humbled actually by some of the things that people said. And you can see some of the quotes there on the screen. There's one young lady actually who decided to go on to study horticulture and Greenmount, which I think was just amazing. But you know, people, as we all know, like the last year has been difficult and at different times, and you know, it helped people to get up and get out and develop new skills. And throughout this project, we were helped along the journey with webinars and videos created by the help of our two project partners, which were the Conservation Volunteers for Northern Ireland and Belfast Food Network. And obviously Belfast Food Network, they were the foodie end. So it's all very well growing this stuff and looking at it and thinking, what do I do with it? So as well as the booklet, and we'll talk a wee bit more about that, we worked with Belfast Food Network with our nutritionists, come up with just really simple, wholesome recipes. And you know, it's stuff that you could grow yourself or buy in the corner shop, and there were no fancy ingredients or, you know, tagines and stuff like that. And actually, also, we didn't want there to be, you know, you didn't need mixers and lots of fancy equipment and stuff too. So on the YouTube channel, where all of these videos are stored, and we'll talk about that just in a wee minute, there are over 24 simple recipes and tips for using your own seasonal and homegrown fruit and veg and herbs, and none of it's Michelin star, but all of it is really, really, really tasty. And I think I'd mentioned earlier, we have the lovely Kieran McHugh from Conservation Volunteers, who has joined us here this evening, and Kieran will be hosting the two webinars for the next 2 weeks. And so the experts from the Conservation Volunteers joined us in a series of webinars which covered really all the essentials of growing, and there's more than enough there to whet anyone's appetite. And there also followed some very lively and very engaging and lengthy question and answer sessions, and some of them went on well beyond 3/4 of an hour that was allocated, as far as I remember, but it was great. It was, I mean, people were so enthusiastic, and that's why I'm so glad that Armagh, Banbridge, Craigavon Council have done this in their area as well. And so we brought in more elements of food in terms of the foraging. So we had Claire McQuillan, an expert forager, and Erin Bunting from the Edible Flower, who created a couple of videos on foraging. And then, you know, they were making things with foraged ingredients like rose hips and winter greens and blackberries and jam. So their wee recipes and videos are also going to are available on the YouTube channel as well there. And so, as I said before, the great news is that all these videos, webinars and presentations were recorded and uploaded to the Live Here, Love Here YouTube channel, Food for Thought playlist. So you guys can watch and re-watch at any time you like, that is convenient to you. And please feel free to share with your family or your friends or your colleagues or anybody who might be interested, because it's all there and it's all free for everybody to use. And we'll get Leanne, who is a great girl who works for the Parks Department in ABC Council area. We'll get her to send out that wee link for the playlist as well. But if you look up Live Here, Love Here, and then go to the Food for Thought project playlist, all of those will be there. And actually there's 57 in total. So yeah. So, and then the very useful information booklet, hopefully that will have been sent to you as a wee document, a PDF, which would accompany your kits as well. And you'll get, you'll get hints and tips in there, as well as some of the really nice wee recipes, simple recipes for using with your herbs and pea shoots. But it also includes things like, using your compost, what you would do if you're using pots, watering, which is a common question. It's like, how do you know when you've watered enough or is it too much? And that's something that the guys at Conservation Volunteers will be covering for us also in the next webinar. And as I said, it's not just about the growing tips in there, it's also about how you use your wonderful ingredients very simply. So I mean, my husband's a chef, and we always say, you know, people in Northern Ireland are kind of, some of them are quite adverse to salads. And I think that's because, well, particularly people of a certain age like myself, and you get to the wrong side of 50, but I can remember growing up and you went to a restaurant or something and you got a salad leaf and a half a tomato, which wasn't even ripe, on the side of your plate, and there was no dressing, you know, like sure, nobody could eat that. And so within that wee book, it's just, there are lots of hints and tips about, you know, how to make your own croutons, which are 1,000 times better than anything you could buy in the supermarket, you know, and add nuts and seeds. And then 4 or 5 ingredients, you know, honey, rapeseed oil, excuse me, some type of light vinegar, pinch of salt, and you've got a really delicious salad dressing there as well. So it's not just about developing your gardening skills, it's very much about opening up your taste buds and hopefully introducing you to a whole other world of flavour and freshness that is really hard to buy. And so as I said, this evening is a brief introduction, and I know you will just all have got your kits, and I'm sure you're going to have lots of different questions about seed sowing and anything at all like that. So that's tonight, and then next Wednesday, 24th of March, we've got Conservation Volunteers with Kieran McHugh, and then the next Thursday, the 1st of April, again going on through that journey a wee bit, and then the last one will be on Thursday, the 8th of April. And so this evening, I just wanted, before we would move on to all your questions, I just wanted to talk a wee bit about handling compost. So the compost you were given with your kits came from Natural World Products, which is a green compost, and it doesn't contain any peat at all. And what's, I suppose, not everybody would know that that peatlands have developed over many thousands of years at the rate of like 1 millimetre per year, which means they're really important habitats, both in terms of biodiversity and in terms of capturing carbon from the atmosphere. So I suppose for years, you know, companies have been harvesting that peat either for peat briquettes or for compost for horticulture. But I'm delighted to say that there are big companies out there like Borden and Mona have just announced this year that they're not, they're going to stop harvesting peat, which is brilliant, and look for other alternatives. So the compost that you got is green compost, doesn't contain any peat, and so when you're handling compost, I suppose it's like, you know, handling soil. So wear gloves when you're handling the compost, and remember to wash your hands thoroughly whenever you're finished. Try to store your compost even in the bag somewhere where it doesn't get soaking wet and heavy. So even if you fold the bag over, sometimes the rain gets in. So if you can put that in your garage, or also somewhere where it's not going to really dry out as well, because that's going to take some of the goodness out too. And if you can, try making your own compost, and we're going to talk about that at one of the later webinars. But that can be, you know, if you have a garden, that can be as simple as just making a wee pile in one corner and put your vegetable peelings and trimmings from the garden. You know, if you've got rabbits or chickens, you can use that straw or sawdust or whatever, which will all break down over time. If you turn it a little bit, the worms will get in there, and you make a really nutritious feed for your soil and for your plants. And actually, the more, I suppose, the essence of organic gardening is that healthy soil will produce healthy crops. And I think healthy crops have got, you know, if you grow your own spinach or salad leaves or carrots, or, you know, I think they have a lot more of the good nutrition, and they haven't traveled, so, you know, they're going to taste the best you're ever going to taste. But if you are buying in compost, you have to buy compost, and like lots of times we do, even myself, and we make a lot, look for peat free or the lowest percentage of peat content that you possibly can. And it will probably say on the bag, peat free, or you can look at the back, and usually there's a wee graph. And actually somebody told me, I was doing a webinar the other day just on compost, and somebody had said that, I think it was B&Q now, their standard B&Q branded compost is all peat free now, which is absolutely brilliant. And I think in the past they had struggled to get a peat free compost that was good enough, and now they think they've cracked it. So I'm looking forward to trying that, actually, because I haven't got around to trying that yet. So that's handling compost. And then sowing seeds. So this is an important bit. And the thing is, and you can see I put it up on the screen there, it's early in the season, you've lots of time. It's like, don't panic. I think that people see a blink of sun at all, and they're like, hands in the air, I'm so late, I should have my seeds planted and all the rest of it. Don't. It's only March, and we are Northern Ireland. It's not the difference even between the temperature here and the south of England, and even the south of Ireland, like even two hours down the road, can be quite a few degrees. So you've got loads and loads of time to plant. So don't be panicking about that. And I suppose traditionally, actually, things like potatoes, I think the St. Patrick's Day, which was, when was that, yesterday, is a long week. St. Patrick's Day is traditionally the time to get your seed potatoes in, but of course the garden centres aren't open, and none of us have been able to get out to get seed potatoes. So, but again, we used to kind of after Easter, you know, all these things are nothing. The thing about gardening is things aren't really written in stone. So, you know, take your time and enjoy the process, and don't feel under pressure to do things. So what to sow in? I know Kieran is going to go into this in much more depth next week. So in your kits, you will have got large pots and small pots. But you know what? If you're starting off in seeds, you can use lots of different things, and hopefully you can. I'm just looking, you can see myself. This is like a bucket that blueberries comes in, which has got really convenient holes at the bottom. And these, I've just grown some pea shoots in that. I probably can't, well, these were, well, you know yourself, everything you buy these days comes with lots and lots of packaging. So, but I mean, those are Lidl blueberries, the wee buckets, which are brilliant, and you can use that time and time again. Things like that, which you would get grapes or whatever in, and you can see they came with holes already, so that's fantastic. And then this one, and this is just what was in my garage or came out of the green bin. This is like a mushroom container. This didn't have holes, so I have just you can see, poke the pen through there. I've just made a few holes in that for drainage. So basically you can grow in nearly anything as long as you've got some drainage holes in it. And you can see, so use younger pots and stuff, and you can see from the picture there that the insides of toilet roll are a good thing to grow things with long roots, kind of like peas and stuff. So, you know, I suppose whilst we're all trying to avoid buying stuff with lots of plastic packaging, sometimes that's unavoidable. So put it to good use. and reuse and recycle. And so sowing the seeds. And I've just copied this out of the wee booklet. So if you haven't had a look at all, please, I would encourage you to go and because it's got very good, simple wee tips about growing seeds and water and stuff. So if you're mad keen and you can't wait for the next 3 webinars, go and have a wee look at that. But basically, what you want to do is fill your container up kind of half, 3/4 of the way with compost, and gently flatten the top just with your hand. And you know what, I always say this, I know hand tools came with your kits, but I always say the most important tools you have as gardener are your hands. And actually I was out at school today planting an orchard, and my hands are in a real state. And I always forget to wear the gloves, but yeah, I'm sure you've all got perfectly manicured nails and stuff. So, and then what you do is just tip the seeds into your hand and take a wee pinch and spread those over the top of the compost. And then I cover them really lightly, just again with my hands, with wee sprinkling of compost. And the general rule is cover the seed to about twice its depth. Now, lots of seeds are really, really tiny. You know, big ones like peas, for instance. You know, obviously you can do that quite deep. But I think, and Karen will probably agree with me, that most people kind of bury their seeds too much, rather than and that's why they mightn't germinate. You know, they germinate, they start to grow, but they haven't got the strength to push themselves on up. And then you need to water your seeds gently. Put them somewhere that's warm, a bit sunny, maybe in a windowsill. Make sure to protect your windowsill, because we don't want when you water them and you have drainage holes, obviously that water is going to leak out a wee bit. So we don't want to have to do a paint job in the kitchen either. Sure don't. And then patience, take time, and then also don't. I mean, I think the other thing is that people say, "Oh, do I water them every day?" Absolutely not. No, don't water them every day at all. Just again, coming back to the most important tools you have in your hands. Feel the compost. If it's, you know, if it feels damp, that's grand. You don't need to water it. If it feels dry to the touch, you probably do, and you don't want to make it soaking wet. And so all seeds are kind of slightly different and take slightly different times to germinate, but usually in about 7 to 10 days you'll see those wee green shoots coming up. And that's and I think, you know, I've been gardening and growing food and stuff for about 15 years, and I still get a real buzz out of seeing that, of seeing the wee shoots coming up. So so if, again, the seed sowing video is on, and the question and answer bit is on as part of the YouTube videos there. But don't panic, you've lots of time. And as I said, next week, Wednesday the 24th, Karen will be on to go into that in kind of more depth and troubleshoot a wee bit. And they're of the last two. So has anybody got any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed.
I missed the start. And I'm not very technical, never mind not being able to grow anything. Where do I find the videos?
Oh, the videos are on YouTube.
Okay.
You go to YouTube and then search for Live Here, Love Here.
Okay, I'm writing that down, yes.
Yeah. And then, so the Live Here, Love Here YouTube channel has a food for thought playlist.
Okay.
And then click on that. But I'm going to get the guys in the council to send the wee link.
Oh, that'll be brilliant, because I'm totally useless.
Out to you by email. No, don't panic. You can't.
Well, wait till I tell you, I started 10, 11 days ago doing microgreens and nothing's happening.
Oh, really? Gosh.
Not a thing. And my mum said to cover them, to put them in the dark. So I tried that a couple of days ago and there's still nothing. Absolutely nothing.
But had you covered them with compost?
No, you were told to, I got those from, it must have been within the council. So you were told to put them on like wet cotton wool or something.
Ah, right. Yes, yes. Okay, okay.
And they're not doing anything, but I'll keep watching.
Well, now they should have come up by now, I would have thought.
The seeds look as if they've got bigger, but nothing has happened. There's no growth.
So the seeds have swollen?
A little bit, but there's no growth yet.
Okay. And is the cotton wool still damp?
I water it every day.
Okay, okay.
That
Strange,
might be
isn't
the
it?
problem. It
That-
might be too wet.
Yeah, this is learned from conservation volunteers. So it might.
Well, I kind of feel the cotton wool every day and it's dry, so that's why I water it. You know, I spray it actually, you know, with a sprayer that you do with for your hair, and nothing. I've got some more. I can try again.
Well, you know what? Try again, or try again. It's quite tricky to keep cotton wool damp, isn't it? Here,
Yeah,
now,
I spray it like every day. Yeah,
so,
weird.
Well,
So
so
I
maybe with that seed, try some of it in compost.
might try, because that's why I'm looking forward to these webinars to see what we can grow.
Great, brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed a greenhouse until I can actually grow something.
Okay, well, that's brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so
Jenny, can I ask, sorry, Jordan here. What's the secret with growing carrots? Last year was a staying community. We all got stuff, and my carrots would not grow.
right.
Is there a secret?
Did they, when you say they wouldn't grow, did they germinate? Did they produce the baby leaves? You know, did the seeds come up? Geraldine?
You got the sprawly wee green things at the top,
Yes.
but the carrots didn't grow. If you know what I mean. The carrots didn't. When you pulled them up, well, I give for a long time, but you got nothing, only a bud. So the carrots didn't obviously, I'm assuming, grow within the soil or compost.
Okay. And when you pulled it, how long did you leave it before you pulled them up? I mean, you didn't.
After about 3-4 months.
Mm.
Yeah, so you gave it plenty of time, didn't you, Jordan?
Yeah.
What? Well, I mean, poor Kieran, he just logged on there, but I'm gonna ask him, why do you think that might have happened?
It might have been a lack of nutrients in the soil. Maybe a liquid feed of nettle soup or comfrey soup might have helped.
All right.
That's something that I tend to do, especially in the summer months. At least every 2 weeks, a liquid feed on just about everything. But it's an organic liquid feed that we talked about on the videos where we used the nettle soup or the comfrey soup.
Right.
Maybe that might help next time.
Okay.
Yeah, again, that's a strange one, isn't it? Yeah, it might, as Kieran says, is maybe just lacking in nutrients because carrots are quite a hungry wee crop, I think. So anybody else got any questions there at all?
Could I ask a question about growing beetroot, Margaret? I have in previous years started them off, in modules, and then planted them out, and with various degrees of success, but never as good as I thought they should be. Is it better to plant them straight into, I have raised beds, to plant them straight into the soil?
I always plant mine or sow mine direct, Margaret, because I think that it's quite a big seed, and they're usually quite good at germinating. Again, I would kind of we would garden organically at home, so I'd use maybe feeds. I would use like seaweed powder or fish blood and bone or organic, chicken manure or something like that. Probably more fish blood and bone because the chicken manure can put up a lot of leaf and not too much beetroot. But although they should come from modules too, shouldn't they, Kieran? I'm gonna call on you again.
Yeah, I've done both. Mainly I do the modules if I'm giving them to somebody else. But I think you get the better results if you sow them into the warmer soil. You know, it's probably a little bit early yet, but
Yes,
you know, when the soil's a bit warmer. But they like a bit of room as well. You know, if they've not got room to grow, they won't. You know, they don't like competition with other beetroots, really.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, we actually got the beds ready, and we have black plastic over them to try and warm them up a bit before we think of sowing anything in them. But I haven't thought of sowing those seeds yet. I love beetroot, you see, and so every year I'm expecting a great crop, and it's been okay. You know, we get some out of it, but to me, they never were as good as they should have been.
Yeah, I love beetroot too, and I think Kieran's right, because most beetroot seeds are they're like multi-germ, so you usually get more than one plant from it. So actually, if you're doing modules, it's kind of easier to space them out, you know, when you're planting them out and give them more room. But again, and do you feed your raised beds? You know, would you put a wee scattering of or something on?
We just use fish blood and bone and nettle soup and comfrey as well.
Okay. Well, you're doing everything right. So maybe try a couple of rows direct.
Yeah.
And then some in the module.
Maybe try different varieties as well and see what is the best variety that works for you.
Yeah, I got a different variety this time from an organic seed grower in the south, Klaus Leitenberg or something he's called.
Yeah.
Green vegetable seeds, and he recommended one that was suitable for Irish weather.
Yeah,
and very good. Yeah.
He is very good. He's brilliant. Actually, he used to have some brilliant videos on.
He did. Yeah.
DIY Ireland, Grow It Yourself Ireland, DIY.ie. They used to have some of his videos on, and he's so good at explaining stuff.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd recommend anybody at all to go and try and look him up. So Klaus with a K, as opposed to Santa Klaus, and Leitenberger. Yeah, he's DIY.ie. DIY Ireland has a great website actually with you know, with lots of hints and tips and wee videos and stuff there as well. So please go and have a look at that. Great, we're on a roll now. Any more questions? Is there an easy one from anybody?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I sent a message in earlier. I'm definitely, this is my first time trying to garden.
Sure. Brilliant.
My friend made me a planter.
Yes.
It's about 7.5 foot by 2.5 foot.
Lovely.
It's 24 inches deep, okay?
Yeah.
So then we put some stone into it, which left about 20 inches deep.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what soil do I put in, or how much soil do I put in, and then how much compost, if you know what I mean, and how far, like, you know, when we made it, we realized it's probably too deep.
Well, I mean, 20, if you put a layer of stone in the bottom, you've got 20 inches. I mean, I think that's a lovely height because you can grow most things. You know, you can grow potatoes, root crops, you know, carrots, all that kind of thing in there. And it's a lovely height. So I wouldn't, you know, I think I always say you kind of need a minimum sort of 12, but what I would do is fill it sort of 3/4 full with like clean topsoil, so screen topsoil.
And sorry, where would I get that?
You would get that somewhere like Emerson's, or I don't know where you're from.
Yeah, I'm from Armagh. Yeah, okay.
From Armagh. Well, so anybody who would do bark or clean topsoil or stuff like that, like there's, you know, beside us in Scarva here, we would use a place called Wheatfield Stone, but they're you know, there should be lots. I mean, don't go and buy those wee bags of soil because it costs you a clean fortune. But if you know somebody with a trailer, or you could borrow a trailer, or even just shop around and see can they deliver some for you. And if you give them your dimensions,
Yeah.
work out how much that is. So I would 3/4 fill it with like clean topsoil, which should cost very much at all, and then just top it up with some nicer compost and dig that through.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Not at all. You're welcome. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
Can I ask another quick question?
Shirley, go on ahead.
Can I grow like things in deep pots? I don't really have a garden to plant stuff in. Can I, in big pots, can I grow carrots and stuff like that?
100%,
Oh,
absolutely.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Even, I mean, you can grow carrots in
We got big buckets with the, you know, with the stuff that was delivered to us. So
perfect.
how many seeds would you put in a big bucket like that?
Oh, I would. So they're about
Yes.
they're about
Yeah.
30 centimeters diameter, aren't they? I would put
4.
a wee. Oh no, I'd put more. If you're doing carrots, you would do more than that, wouldn't you, Kieran? You
Oh
could
yeah, yeah. A gentle.
go like.
Mm.
Sorry, go on ahead, Kieran.
No, I just say a gentle broadcast along the top, because you can't really see them too well.
Yeah. Don't know if you can see that. That's the size of the bucket. Maybe you can't. No.
They're ideal for carrots because the carrot fly can't jump up and get into
All
you.
right.
They're ideal.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
I just thought I was lost there. I wouldn't be able to grow anything because I didn't have veg yet.
No, absolutely. You can, and you can grow so many things in pots. I mean, you can grow
Potatoes.
salad leaves, scallions, herbs, carrots, beetroot.
Beetroot.
Yeah,
Potatoes.
potatoes you can grow in pots, or old compost bags. I mean, we would do that in schools all the time. If you get sort of old compost bags and roll them down,
Yeah.
put about 10 centimeters of compost in the bottom, 2 or 3 seed potatoes, cover those up, and then as the shoots come up, just keep covering them with compost. And homemade compost is brilliant for that until I suppose early in the summer. Early potatoes are really good for that too. So there are different varieties of potatoes, but we always go for like early season. Now they don't keep, but actually when you're growing your own potatoes, they're that delicious. You wouldn't keep them anyway because, you know,
You just want to eat them.
just want to eat them. A wee drop of salt and a wee bit of butter, and Bob's your uncle.
So in those pots or whatever, do I just put in compost or compost and soil? That's how green I am.
Well, I would just put in the compost actually.
Brilliant.
Because when you're gardening in pots, all the nutrition for your plants has to come from the pots. You know, it's
Compost. Yeah.
doing it in soil. You know, the soil's got microorganisms and worms and wee creatures who are all working together to provide nutrition for your plants.
So all I need is compost then.
Compost. That's exactly right.
Lovely. Thank you.
Not at all. Anybody else? I see has.
Could I ask something else?
Sure.
Julie, we kept bags of leaves from last autumn,
Yes.
just in black bags with holes in them. How long do we need to leave them before they're feasibly can be used?
I would say probably about a year. I mean, you could take a wee peep, you know, and sort of, I was going to say, like, I would keep my leaf mold. So for anybody who's new to this, you know, the way in the autumn time, the leaves all blow down and there's leaves everywhere and it's brilliant. And you guys in the parks department will know all about it, but it's great to gather those up and just, again, put them in the corner out of the road or in in like a bin liner with holes in it to let the air in and moisture out and all the rest of it, and just let it sit for about a year. And you don't need to turn it or anything. Like we would cover ours with like old carpet, and in about a year, or about a year and a half, you get the most incredible crumbly soil conditioner. Now, it's not as nutritious as compost because leaves come off the tree, have lost a lot of their green, but it's really good for soil structure, and for adding lovely structure to your soil as well. And it's free, and it's really satisfying, Margaret, too, isn't it? Have you peeped into the bag? Do you know?
Yeah. No, they're broken down a bit, but they're all sort of clumped together, and I was looking at them and saying, is this going to work?
You know what? No, it definitely will. It just takes, I mean, some people would say it takes 2 years to
I have seen that.
At least, I would say at least a year. And actually, if you give your bag a wee shake, and that'll help the process. But
yeah,
but it's lovely. It's lovely. Yeah. And you
I
think
know.
all that stuff's for it's either a nuisance product and it's creating something incredible to feed your crops, which is going to feed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for nothing. Anybody else? Any questions? I'm just checking the chat.
Can I ask a wee question?
Sure, yes, please.
I was just wondering how you felt about no dig gardening. We started that last year, but the first year was okay, but it wasn't amazing. But I think this year, I'm hoping the second year it'll be better than the first year.
Yeah, Tricia, I'm a big fan of no dig gardening myself. Charles Dowding he's like the godfather of no dig gardening. So for any of you who are new, do you remember it's like the traditional thinking has always been you need to get in there in the winter time with a spade and dig over your soil and dig over your soil. And actually, no dig gardening is about you don't dig at all. So you're keeping the soil structure, which means all those microorganisms that we talked about before and the worms and everything all have like habitat in the soil. So if you keep digging it and disturbing it all the time, you're disturbing all of that life. So no dig gardening is about you just lure on compost or mulches like grass clippings. Again, we would use a lot of that there. And the worms are taking that down into your soil, and because they're moving through your soil, they're creating air pockets, which is helping the drainage, and it's also helping to feed everything. So the basis of no dig, obviously, if you're planting something out, you need to dig a wee hole to put it in, but it's about not just keeping that structure there and making it really easy for yourself and learn up all the time, which will keep the weeds down as well. So Tricia, you're absolutely right. The first year would probably be your least good year, and then after that it's just going to improve all the time. So
yeah, it was really good. We started off layering covering like just grass with cardboard the first year, and then putting compost on top of that. Then we sowed like shallow sort of plants in it. So then this year, because the cardboard will all have gone now, then we're hoping that the deeper ones like carrots and parsley and stuff will do well.
No, brilliant. No, so no dig is, and it's great for lazy gardeners, and I'd consider myself a lazy gardener. You want to have an easy life. You don't want to be killing yourself, and plants really do want to grow. It's up to us to let them, and give them the best environment to do that. So
we started that because the weeds in gardening put us totally off. Yeah. And then we found out about that, and it actually is amazing. There's no weeds. It's incredible. But we thought that the last year wasn't going to be as good. So I'm glad to hear that this year might be better.
Oh, fantastic. That's brilliant. I'd love to see photographs of your garden.
Sorry, Julie, just one other. Can you hear me? Oops.
Yes.
Sorry, one other thing. Our friend Julie's given off. I didn't tell her about this webinar, but anyhow, we have a cardboard.
Yes.
We have a big selection of a large collection of cardboard at the minute. So rather than going to the dump, should that be kept to the last lady there mentioned something about putting it under the top of the ground or something? Can you give me any advice?
Absolutely. So say you wanted to make like a raised bed or even a new patch to plant in. If you just on top of your grass, you don't need to start digging or certainly you don't want to be spraying any of that. Just lure that cardboard on the top, and then you can put a layer of compost on it and just leave it.
Right.
Just leave it there, and so the worm, that'll get wet and the worms will come up and start taking the cardboard down and start making lovely crumbly soil for yourself. I would also put cardboard into our compost bed at home,
right,
and mix that through with everything else, the vegetable pins and the coffee grounds and the tea bags, and the basic rule for composting is if it was once living, you can compost it. So that would include, the woolly jumper that the dog got a hold of, or that random cotton sock. Just if it's natural material, you can compost that down. But yeah, cardboard, even over winter, if you've got raised beds or something, put a layer of cardboard over it. It'll stop the rain washing the nutrients out of your soil or out of your compost. When there's another thing called Lasagna Gardening, which is, rather than even make your own compost, is if you put say you had a grassy space and you put gathered up your banana skins and all the stuff you would put in your compost bin, really, and lured that on top of the grass, and put your cardboard on top of that, maybe a layer of compost on top of that, maybe another layer of cardboard, and maybe some grass clippings. I mean, that's the basis of a really, really good, you can see why it's called Lasagna Gardening.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and the worms will do all the work for you, so that's great.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Any other burning questions before next week?
Not at the minute, thank you.
Okay. Well, look, I suppose it's nearly 10:02, and we had kind of promised a quarter of an hour. So, one last one. Does anybody wanna? No.
No, thanks.
I'll down and have a wee cup of tea and watch the TV.
And thank you very much. Now, I find that very informative. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And please, I'll ask Leanne to send that link to the YouTube channel for all those videos and stuff for you. And I very much look forward to seeing everybody next Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. And in the meantime, keep at it. Thanks very much for listening.
Julie, would you also send the link for that coucher, whatever you call it, Bob? Please.
Oh,
sorry, Margaret. Yeah.
Nice Leightonberger, I will indeed.
Please.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He does do seeds too, and so the Organic Centre in Leitrim too. And I'm sure you all know, because we've had awful problems trying to get the seeds for your packs, but there are some lovely wee companies in the south who are doing nice organic seeds, and he would do them. So, yeah, I'll make sure I'll get that done tomorrow.
Thank you.
So thanks a million.
Bye, Geraldine.
Bye, Margaret. Bye.
Bye, and thank you, Kieran. He's always a fountain of knowledge. God bless him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kieran. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.